All right, I think we can begin now. If somebody can just drop a message in the group that session has started, that will be useful. Let us begin with the invocation. Hari Om. सरस्वती नमस्तुभ्यं वरदे कामरूपिणी विद्यारंभं करिष्यामि सिद्धे भवतु मे सदा वसुदेवं सुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं हरि ओम कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं yes ji namaste Johi ji and namaste Chitra ji, can we recollect what is it that we saw last? We can form the link and move ahead. Yes, please.
Yeah. So we saw that there was one question where Dr. Nirod Baran asked, so aspiring for a person who is recovering, can praying or aspiring for that person, can it help? So he had some doubts on this. So definitely it can help is what we saw. And also again, a question was asked on why is a doctor necessary to heal when the divine can perform that? Uh, the world is a play of forces, so doctor is a force, and the divine makes use of this force to bring about the change. This was another thing that we saw, and we also saw the case of curing of a sadhak by the force sent by Sri Aurobindo in the exact way it had to work on him. So we saw one incident around that, but it was actually told that it can be other forces at play, not necessarily this. But yeah, this was something that we saw. And also, the length of meditation is never a criteria for defining the greatness in yoga. So it's always like quality over the quantity. Attack of lower forces can play a vital role in neutralizing the purpose. So this is an important thing that we saw. And also about occultism. So one must know what to do with the experiences that people usually who get the experience. It doesn't mean that people who get them are considered as transformed beings, but having to know what to do with the experiences also is an important thing. And we saw the conclusion that attention to detail given by Sri Aurobindo to every sadhak in their respective fields that they were working on, because we saw the fine details that were asked regarding the patient's recovery or the kind of food or fruits that had to be given to the patients and stuff. And also, one thing is, Sri Aurobindo doesn't accept the remark of the status of father given by Dr. Paran, as it may cause attachments to settle in his mind.
So, for at least from Dr. Nirodhan's perspective, he did not want to add that, isn't it? Ji, ji. So, one important point that we saw was aspiration is good, or this having thought for somebody to become well, or have saying a prayer for someone to become all right. This is okay and this is permitted, is what Sri Aurobindo said. It is fine. As a doctor, he can aspire that his patient recovers quickly and aspire for the divine force to go there. But practically or logically or materially, does it make a difference? That is the question. Such an aspiration. What do we think? Yes, Johiji or Chitraji, what would you? Sri Aurobindo has said yes, it is good. Okay, Johiji wants to add something. Yes, Ji.
Can you please repeat your question?
Yes, so this aspiration, how effective or how useful is this aspiration? Is it useful in the Sri Aurobindo has permitted it for Dr. Nirodharan, but in terms of its utility, having an aspiration, say somebody is not doing right, a sincere prayer that that person should do right. It's not wrong, is what Sri Aurobindo says. So is it just psychologically for comfort of Dr. Nirodharan that he has said it, or does it have some, value in the material also?
I think there got to be something in the material as well, because you had given us some examples like last week, Sunday, on this topic, that you have come across cases in which atheist person felt that praying makes some differences.
Yeah,
And
that was the
like,
right thing.
okay, and there was one more thing that we were talking about, that we are a divine being having human experiences. So apart from
Beautiful.
this human or materialistic world, there are also some other planes. There might be something happening on different planes that we are not aware of.
Yeah,
So maybe prayers have the influence on different planes, and maybe something happens and things get better. Who knows?
absolutely. All right. So that's a wonderful opinion. So yeah, just a little bit of an agnostic aspect of who knows for sure whether it happens or not. There was an interesting clinical trial done in the Kansas Heart Rhythm Institute where it was during the peak of the COVID times. The power of prayer. Different people of different religions were given different prayers and how these prayers are actually working quantifically. Does it make a difference? Or I had a chance to be talking in a group, or more not talking, actually listening in a group of doctors who were talking about spirituality. Since we are talking about Dr. Nirod Baran. And so these doctors were talking about, see, the one doctor very clearly, who's a very senior doctor, very close to retirement. He said, I have never got the time to enter into this path of spirituality, but I have seen this much. I've seen this much that those who are having a spiritual bent of life, they had greater post-operative recovery, greater tolerance to pain, greater tolerance to emotional what we can say stability, and all of these things. These are also one. And another aspect, which is there is a world which is beyond the logic. There is a world beyond our ration. It is beyond our rational mind. That is all we can say. Somewhere these thoughts do have a value. In our Adhyatma, in Sanatan Dharma, it is called as sanskara is created with your thoughts. I am foolish. I am foolish. If we keep doing this japa, this mantra will become siddha or not. It will happen like that. I am like this. I am like this. We keep repeating that. No, no, I am this type of person. So what are we doing? We are solidifying that sanskara, making it more and more concrete. Instead of that, that is why our gurus have always told us, Amrutasya putra vayam, Rishi putra vayam. We are children of rishis. We are children of immortality. Or Anandasya putraha is what Sri Aurobindo uses the term. Children of Ananda. So there is an aspect of this having a bearing. On the occult level, prayers have a force. It depends on the vibration sent from the person who is transmitting and the person, whether the person is receiving. For instance, a great spiritual, what we call supramental manifestation, took place. One great opening has had taken place in Pondicherry. How many people were conscious of it? There were so many people. Now, Dr. Nirod Baran is there. Mother and Sri Aurobindo were doing a particular sadhana. How many people in the ashram were actually conscious of it is a question. But even the mother said that there was somebody here and there was somebody in Africa who could sense it. Means what about all the other people around? They were not able to sense it. But how were they connecting? Or now we are connected through technology. I can see you, I can talk to you. But what about those yogis? If you look at different charitras, even you see Sai Charitra, this from one place communication is happening, another person is there. Or even in the Nath Sampradaya, when they talk about the entire Charitra of the Nathas, there also we see one person here is able to communicate to another person. Well, this is something. So that's why our thoughts have a very important value. That is why we need to have good thoughts, right thoughts, and throw away negative thoughts, because I think we have studied Bhagavad Gita also. Atmaiva bandhuratmana, atmaiva ripuratmana. We can be our enemies, we can be our friends. I had met one person, stranger in Thane. It was in, I think, Nashik, not Thane. In Nashik, we had got the chance to meet him. And first question he said, first thing he met Damleji in the park. We were just outside. He came, he touched the feet of Damleji and suddenly started sharing his problems. And he said, my life, this is happening because somebody has done karni upon me. What is karni? Anybody knows about it? Yes, anyone?
Something with tantric thing.
Yeah, somebody has done this on me and this has created one effect upon me. So this was the fear he had. Damiji tried to take it out of his head, but it did not go out. He stayed in touch for almost 6, 7 months afterwards, also on phone. But you see, his mind was continuously going in that direction. That is why what thoughts we have are very important. If our thoughts are strong, if our mind is strong like a Vajra, nobody's effect will take place. You can be surrounded by all people who oppose you, but you will not be shaken. Not a slightest fluctuation of your consciousness will take place because you are now connected with the higher consciousness. You're not disturbed by the lower forces. So that is something in sadhana, but that is why thoughts and having aspirations. Back to the same question of whether it is good. Yes, aspire for what is right, aspire for what is good. I think Diary of Anne Frank, she had written a beautiful line about how she is having hope for the world. Her world is ending, isn't it? She was getting her chemotherapy, well, not chemotherapy, sorry. She was being tested upon by these in this concentration camps with chemicals and so many things. She was disconnected, but she was having an aspiration for what? For hope. Where did this come from? This was from a universal mind. There's something like that. And this young girl, her thoughts still give light, still give direction to so many people. Why? Because they are from that Vishwamanas, which is higher. So that is something. So it is not wrong. That is probably one aspect we looked at. We will look at now. So let us continue. We enter into February the 4th. So I'll just repeat the last line. I think Chitraji reminded me. I incised Jay's finger and he was quite bold. But funnily enough, while I was bandaging it, he said he was feeling giddy and fell unconscious. Reply came from Sri Aurobindo that I think Jay himself is a little nervous by temperament. Next, Dr. Nirodban writes, it seems you were a little displeased about my ado about M's servant boy. Sri Aurobindo replies, no, not at all. Again, Nirodban says, your mentioning ulcer made me think. Sri Aurobindo replies, it was a story of blood vomiting several times that made mother suspect ulcer and insist on the hospital. Nirodban says, N is keeping better. Temperature actually came down to 99.4 degrees. The first time in his illness. He is already aspiring to do his gate duty on the Darshan day. What more evidence? Yesterday during meditation, he felt a lot of force on his chest, he said. Sri Aurobindo replies, it is evidence of the subjective improvement which helps, but we must get the objective one also. If his lungs are improving and temperature has a downward tendency, then it is all right. So just now we were talking about aspiring. Look at that. A patient can aspire, isn't it? A patient can aspire always to become all right. The aspiration must be there. No statistics should tell somebody you cannot aspire. A young friend of mine who's like a sister, she got diagnosed with cancer. And she was given very little time by the doctor based on what we call his evidence based, experience based, whatever perception he has got. He said, you have this much time only. And it was a difficult moment. She asked this question, can I not dream? Can I not dream of getting married and having children? That was a difficult question. I said, who is going to stop you from dreaming? Why not? Dreaming or aspiring, material aspect may be different. Here you see Sri Aurobindo is giving importance to aspiration, but also giving importance to objective. He said, yes, he's aspiring to serve in the duty, but is the aspiration only on the level of the mind? Is it all psychic aspiration of the being? Or is it completely he is healed and then that has to be checked, no, on the material plane also. So there are multiple factors we can say, but aspiration is strong, aspiration is important. Let's continue. Dr. Nilman, he says, I have a wonderful colleague in Dr. B. He can't utter two words about you without shedding tears. Is it second childhood? In spite of all his devotions, domestic affairs bind him. It is not second childhood. He has always been like that. Here or over there, looking after his affairs, his bhakti is constant and genuine. So this is again, it's out of bhakti. Sometimes people get overwhelmed with emotions. So it is genuine, is what Dr. Niruddhan is told by Sri Aurobindo. Let's continue.
This question, so what does it mean? Like people can
Yeah,
be
no,
emotional.
yeah, we are all human beings. We
Confusing.
will all have. Sorry, Joyji, please complete your question. I think I interrupted your question. Yeah, please
No,
tell me.
no, it's fine. So actually, here I couldn't understand when no, sorry, when Sri Aurobindo ji says that bhakti has also some relation with emotion. Can you elaborate onto it? I find it confusing.
Acha, okay, but the question had something. Namaste, Rajiv ji. We are
Namaste.
continuing. Namaste, sir. We're just
Yeah.
continuing. Yes, sir.
Okay.
So, yeah. So, you see, this was a question of emotion is asked by Dr. Nirodhan saying, is it second childhood that is coming for him?
Yeah, like
And
that's what I'm.
in spite of his all this devotion, domestic affairs bind him. We all have sansarik bandhanas, isn't it? We call them karma bandhanas, duties. Say, I want to be happy, but if my sister is not well or sister is not happy, can I be truly happy? No. So that's actually a binding, no? So this doctor's case, Nirodhan was surprised. You see, he's having such genuine bhakti on one side, and other side he's still so bound with family affairs. So he was trying to understand for himself, what is this? What is all of this? And that Shanti said that his bhakti has been constant and genuine, irrespective of the bandhana. And he said it's not a second childhood. It's just usual. It's just like how he was always, because Sri Aurobindo knows him from the beginning. So I think that is all that was there to it. Do you have something to add or ask related to emotions, Johiji?
No, I don't, but I'm still confused
Okay.
on what Sri Aurobindo ji want to say in here.
No, he said his
Sorry,
bhakti
my
is
brain is
constant.
not.
Yeah, his bhakti is constant and genuine. It's not second childhood. That's his swabhava. Each person has a swabhava, isn't it? Some people have a cranky swabhava. Some people have very peaceful swabhava. Some people get very annoyed also. But in Gita, we have learned, isn't it? We're not supposed to crush our swabhava. We are going to use our swabhava
Yes.
to rise. Yeah?
Okay, yeah, understood. Thank you.
Let's go on. Yeah. When doctor says, I am simply overjoyed. Yeah, it's just one more thing. It's like there's no one scale fits all kind of thing. Each person has their own swabhava. Rajiv ji wants to say something. Yes, sir. Please. Please unmute, sir. Please unmute, sir. Please unmute, sir. Hariom, sir. Please unmute, sir. We can't hear you, sir.
See, in this spiritual pursuit that we are all engaged in, one of the measures is actually if you are drawn to tears, tears start flowing while you are praying or you in front of God. You know, that is actually considered as a very high level of spiritual evolvement. Actually, it does not happen to everybody. It is very rare that this happens, and then everything else is secondary. Actually, this is the highest form of bhav, which is there. So I think possibly he would be meaning this, that since he has that kind of a consciousness which is purified already, that he is drawn to emotion. This is something which is good for him.
Yeah.
Maybe, I
So
mean,
that is
this
a
is,
yes,
yeah.
sir. Yes, Rajiv ji. That's a good interpretation of this actually,
I have a
because.
contradictory question then to this.
But let
I'm
us
sorry.
come to. Well, let us complete what I just will finish the line and then we go to your question.
Yes.
Yes, ji.
Uh-huh.
So now, so this it is like an evacuation of tears or sometimes overwhelming. This is something like many times when we go to a. Some people have that feeling when you go to nature's company or somebody goes to a beautiful place, their eyes suddenly start, you know, emitting tears. It may be sometimes it's emotional, sometimes it is something which is supra emotional also. So there are possibilities in that. There are possibilities. It need not be what Dr. Nirodhan wanted to know. Is it childish, or a second childhood? It need not be onset of second childhood. Normally, when a person gets spiritual experiences and when the beginning takes place in the opening, the eyes then just, it's like dam has been gates have been opened and then there's a flow. Yes, Juhiji, we'll come to you. What was it that you were asking?
No, you said that we can continue the sentence and then I can ask my question.
No, no, my sentence was not over. That's all I told. That was all.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No,
I'm
no
sorry. I
problem.
interrupted that.
Done.
Anyway,
Ah, yeah.
so the question is like we should not crush our swabhava, and swabhava can be force in achieving lok sangrah as per Bhagavad
Swav-
Gita.
Swabhava
That
can be. Swabhava can be.
a, a force in achieving
Okay.
lok sangrah. Like if we
Acha.
don't crush
Okay.
ourselves, then we might be able to perform better. For
Yeah. Okay.
example, we also
Yeah.
know about the example of Rishi Durvasa. Cool. So now what the question I have is like, okay, we don't crush our swabhava, but crying or like having tears doesn't relate to this. It sounds a little
No, that can be for somebody. We need not look at it as childishness. That's all we can draw it. It
okay,
may not
okay,
be
okay,
the
okay.
ultimate aspect, but it's definitely a pious aspect. It happens uncontrollably at times. It's all right. Means instead of jumping onto it
Okay.
with a gun, here I am not adhyatmic now. Eyes tears are coming out of. No, it's a normal thing. Maybe after a while,
Okay,
tears
okay, okay.
may also. We need not
Uh-huh.
draw a conclusion as it is wrong or it is right. Swabhava
Yes.
is to be
Understood.
used, and even afterwards, that also has to be surrendered. That is in the last stage. Your Swabhava has to be
Uh-huh.
surrendered. Krishna says, no, Sarva Dharman Parityaje Mamekam Sharanam Raja. So there, later on, as you closer to that
Okay.
path, there
Yeah,
also.
that's what I was confusing with. Like, considering we have
No,
to
no,
give everything to Kana, so like,
no. So yeah, no, this is a way we don't have to call one as lower than the other or anything like that. We saw, if you see, if many of the yogis when they take sannyasa, no? Or
mhm.
sometimes when they take sannyasa, what happens? Family members all have tears. What is this person taking sannyasa is going away? What is all of that? That's because of attachment, isn't it? But sometimes some gurus take attain samadhi. When they attain samadhi state, they consciously enter to that samadhi. Not everybody cries. Some shishyas don't have any flow of tears and they're still quiet and they're feeling the oneness of oneness of what? Oneness of being one with the guru even after he has left his mortal abode. Means what is that? Then is that person heartless because tears are not there? No, it is not the case like that. And it is something. But well, there's a nice experience of nirpeksha ashru. The tears which are without expectations. They are the good ones and they are the rare ones. They don't happen every time. So if it is out of expectations, it is as much as crying कि मेरे भैया ने मेरा lollipop ले लिया. It is like that. My expectations have not been fulfilled, so I am crying. That is not right. But otherwise, if it is a nirpeksha one, let it flow. Let it flow. It's not wrong. Here he is talking about doing stuti of his guru. Which Shishya will not have tears when they get that bhav of perfect stuti and gratitude and all of that. It will come out naturally. It doesn't have to be artificially induced, and not at all is it inferior in any angle also that way, if you look at it. But it should not be on the lower level. That is all that is we have to look at. Let's continue then. Can we go ahead, Ji?
Ji, thank you.
All right. Thank you, Ji. Hari Om. So, Nirodhan, he writes, I am simply overjoyed to learn that one day your retirement can really come to an end. We had always a fear that you might never come out. Tagore expressed this sentiment, saying that the world has lost you. How can the world be changed without the personal presence of the incarnate divine? So this was a very interesting question. You can't blame the Shishya for having it, because Sri Aurobindo was doing an intense sadhana which involved him to withdraw from direct contact with the people, with the world. So much so that Gurudev or Rabindranath Tagore also said the world has lost him. And then he gets a hope that, oh, maybe Sri Aurobindo will be personally also accessible. I will be able to go and meet him. He did not know while he was writing this that a time would come when he would have that privilege to be going easily and meeting so many times. But while he's writing, he's saying that, and he asks this question: how can the world be changed without the personal presence of the incarnate divine? Nirodharan Sri Aurobindo replies, you mean to say that I am not personally present? I have gone off to the Loka already, or another realm. I have gone. That's what Sri Aurobindo asked. Then again, Nirodharan, he has got a complaint. He's getting his case strongly against Sri Aurobindo. He says, you refuse to be a guru and decline to be a father, though ladies especially think of you as a father and call you so. If they come to know of your refusal, I'll have to run with smelling salts from one lady to another. So the doctor is expressing a genuine concern of as a doctor only. He's asking, look at this. And he's also having a grudge because he wanted Sri Aurobindo to be like his father. He had refused. He said, I'm not your father. So let us see. Sri Aurobindo replies, father is too domestic and Semitic. Abba, father. Abba is a Hebrew term for father. I feel as if I have suddenly become a twin brother of the Lord Jehovah. Besides, there are suggestions of a paternal smile and a hand uplifted to smite, which do not suit me. Let the ladies father me if smelling salts are the only alternative, but let it not be generalized. So I think Chitraji had talked about this. Why Sri Aurobindo had not wanted to take up that role, because it brings attachments of father. It is not the higher one. It is again another, what we can say, a typal character being set and relation between Guru Shishya. How is Guru? Guru is even beyond what we call the father. He is the father, he's the Mata, he is the Dhata, he is the Pitamaha, everything. Or Prapitamaha also. We can call whatever name they want to say. So it is beyond, means I think we have heard different stutis of the Guru, or in Krishna also, how Sakheti, he says, you are my friend, you are my companion. So different roles are there. So you cannot fix it to one role. That is why Sri Aurobindo has said, and he said, it's all right if somebody is trying to fix him, he doesn't mind. He says, smelling salts are the only alternative. Let's continue. Then he goes on. Sri Aurobindo asks, but what is the relation you won't decline? Is it something besides the recognized ones in spiritual history? He says, okay, then what relation will you not accept? I want to know which will you accept, which will you cannot decline. So many relations you are not accepting. You don't want to fall into, you don't want to, I think this we have all got some feeling, isn't it? We like to give a relationship a kind of definition, a stamp, isn't it? It is like this, it is like that. Why? Because our logic mind connects with it. But our best of best relationships, can we really define them? Anybody? Chitraji, Rajivji, Johiji, what do you think? Yes, Johiji.
Actually, we cannot define that, and even in Bhagavad Gita, somewhere it's mentioned that like we cannot हम लोग कान्हा को किसी एक पर्टिकुलर बंधन में नहीं बांध सकते. So I think it's the
Okay.
same way with Guru as well, because Guru or having a special relation is something beyond which might not be given one particular term, because it's
Yeah.
not completely as per this materialistic world. So it's
Hmm.
beyond.
It's something so special that you can't characterize it or something like that. It is something unique.
Mm-hmm.
न मे मृत्यु शंका न मे जाति भेद पिता नैव मे नैव माता न जन्म न बंधुर्न मित्रं गुरुर्नैव शिष्य Chidananda Rupa Shivoham. Shivoham is what the Atmashitakam talks about. So here also, even in this is actually a Guru Shishya relationship between Sri Aurobindo and Niratwaran. But in that, he's not trying to, what we can say, add relations. Because sometimes what happens when the Guru is a family member, no? They say sofa come bed, no? Something like that. People use that time the relation becomes the bandhana or the drawback. Like I used to learn badminton. My coach was a good coach in terms of badminton. He knew a lot about it. But his son, he did not want him to enter into the same sports because he felt his relation would come in between, and his son went to another sports afterwards. So basically, it is something like that. He says, I don't want to generalize it. And Nirodhan tries to find out, give me the secret. What is it? What is the rasya? Which relation you will not decline so that I can use that to be associated with you? Sharvindo replies, I don't know. I don't know. I always prefer something new to the old labels. I will see the supramental and perhaps find something. So look at that. It's so straightforward, and he's saying, "See, I don't know what is that relation. Let it be." I think best it is not needed to form a relation also. But Narayadvan goes on. They are saying that a sweet relation has been established between you and me. I only hope and pray that it will be sweeter and sweetest. This is something in Bhagavad Gita also, 12th Adhyay. Who is dear to me? Who is dear to me? And then finally, who's dearest to me is what Krishna says. So this is the beautiful aspiration of Dr. Nirodhan. I only hope and pray that it will be sweeter and sweetest. I think it's such a beautiful prayer, isn't it? The best prayer that a Shishya can seek. Let my relation become better. Let it become more evolved. Let it progress. And he's also enjoying it by calling it a very sweet relation. And he says it has been established. So he's saying, Sri Aurobindo, you have already established it. Now you cannot escape. Sri Aurobindo replies, he says, the sweet relation is all right, but let it be nameless. I have brought down a verse from heaven on the correspondence, like Baha'u'llah, founder of the Baha'i, which proves that I am not an avatar. At least I am a prophet. It is, I fear, full of Chandapatan and Bhashapatan, but it expresses my feelings. In Bengali, it means faulty rhythm and language. So he says, I've written down a verse which is in Bengali. We don't have anybody who is Bengali who can read it. It would have been nice if Manisha Ji was present. She's Bengali, so we could have got this verse. He says, I have got this verse. Why is this verse, Sri Aurobindo? Why is he quoting it? Because he's very sincerely trying to respond to the query about this relation. He says, it's all right. It's a sweet relation. Let it be nameless. And he says, he goes on, let's see what is the translation. If the sadhaks had not in there, I'm translating it. I mean, then giving the translation which is there of the Bengali verse which Sri Aurobindo has written. It roughly translates into, if the sadhaks had not in their hearts craving for correspondence, I would live with a smiling face, merged in the supramental bliss. Alas, alas, where is such a hope? So this, he said, if this correspondence was not an extra bandhan, I would be in this supramental ananda. But where is this? Where is this? This is actually a humorous one. Then he immediately replies as a rider. He says, but for heaven's sake, don't show this undivine outbreak to anybody. They will think I am trying to rival Dara in his lighter poetic moods. So there was one more sadhak, Dara, who would write comical poems. So he says, don't show this what I have given to you to anybody else. Otherwise, they will again misinterpret it and they'll say I'm going to trying to compete with you. So now here it was a very question about sweetness, all of it, and then Sri Aurobindo is using humor. We have seen Sri Aurobindo using humor so many times. My question is humor good? Is humor required? And how can we, what do we learn from this about humor of Sri Aurobindo? That's actually a beautiful aspect. I think there's a book on Sri Aurobindo's humor also somewhere. I'll try to find the name if I get it. But the importance of humor in sadhana, anybody? Is it required? Is it required? Is humor
It's
required? Yeah.
I don't know whether it's required or not, but actually, whenever I see this from the conversation between Dr. Nirodharan and Sri Aurobindo, it's more about having complex conversation, but quite easily with humor,
Ah,
with the help of humor. So
yeah. It lightens up things,
that's what
isn't
I
it?
understood. Yes.
Yes, isn't it? So, Namaste Maji, Namaste Sharda ji,
Namaste,
Namaste,
namaste.
Namaste ji. We're just continuing the study on
Yeah,
correspondence with Sri Aurobindo
yeah. After a
by
long
Dr.
time I'm
Nirodharan.
joining.
Ji, ji, most welcome. Yes, ji. So, we were just looking at the importance of humor. So, I think Namliji always says this: be sincere, but don't be serious. Means there's a lot of difference. We don't have to, like some people, I'm doing sadhana, so it should show on my face. These many wrinkles should be there depending on the japa I have done. I've talked so much, I've done this, I've done that. If you see, Damliji is always laughing, joking, and even serious, we can say, situations. I remember once he was in the ambulance and he was being rushed to the hospital. Even that time he joked. The doctor inside was thinking, oh, he's having some great discomfort. The time he has joked, his pastor comment saying, "Dekho, from the bus somebody was doing some like action." He said, "Murde ko namaskar kar rahe." We were also shocked. My God, how can somebody joke like this in such a serious situation? But the aspect, the important aspect of, it's not trivializing because otherwise humor goes in a different direction where we trivialize the importance. So this sincerity must not be lost. But with humor, we can take it. And can anybody recollect in the Bhagavad Gita, there is a place humor is mentioned. In the very start of the Gita, there is mention of humor. Arjuna is very serious. He says everything is destroyed. My life is destroyed. Nothing good is going to happen. My future generations all are gone. Krishna, he keeps on crying. But there we see somewhere a situation which is grave, which is terse, which is so serious. There also we see there's a mention of humor. Can anybody recollect? Yes, sir, Rajiv ji. Please unmute, sir. Please unmute, sir.
The first verse which Krishna says has got this word called prahasannivamar.
Sanneva. Yes, sir.
In response to
Senayoru
the
bhayor
serious
madhye.
situation, he is pretty light-hearted
Calm.
and he,
Yeah, laid
very
back.
calm, and he gives that answer.
Yeah.
Okay, so that is
Yes.
an indication of. Actually, what I
Jeez.
think, humor is when you are completely seated in that spiritual state.
Ji, sir.
Nothing is there to bother you, really. I mean, you're
Ji.
unified in such a manner that when you are conversing from that state, everything looks like a joke, actually. I mean,
Yeah.
where everything, all emotions that are expressed,
Yeah.
like, in such a serious situation, how can he? But then for him, seated in that position, no situation is, because he truly believes that nothing can actually happen to him, leave alone
Yes, sir.
this. So,
And there's
that
no
is
fear
actually,
or worry.
that's a mark of a very high level of attainment. That is what I
Ji,
think.
sir. Ji, sir. And
So,
sir, one thing I wanted to ask you, I have not seen any video of Swami Hariharji Maharaj, but I've seen the photo only, which I got from you only. In that photo, there's a beautiful smile, and that was the first thing I noticed. So, from your experience, do you think Swami Hariharji Maharaj would smile a lot, or he would
no, no,
some humor?
in fact, some of the devotees who had a lot of time with him, at whose place he resided, they all say that he was fun all the time. I mean,
Gee,
there was not a moment, and including some of these. We have got a lot of videos
Ji.
and audios of his talks that are there. The way he used to
Okay.
relate and the way he used to joke about situations in day-to-day life. And,
Right.
I mean, he would set people laughing actually. So,
Ji.
and then he used to talk about some of these things and make them sound so simple. So basically, I think that's a sign of a high level of attainment. I mean, that's
Yes.
the way I
And I
feel.
think a guru and a shishya is lucky to receive it because
Yes,
otherwise Sri Aurobindo was called the non-smiling saint.
correct.
Nobody knew about it. Even the mother, his companion, his spiritual companion who took ahead the vision, she
Uh,
also found this discovery, this correspondence was when the book came out because this was a different side.
correct.
So, but so that's just to say that it's not so important to make it an outer habit, but it happens naturally. And like we say, Ananda floats around such a person who is already there in that state of consciousness.
Correct. Yes,
So,
yes,
and this humor is used as a vehicle for raising the consciousness. I
yes.
can say at least that much in the correspondence of Sri Aurobindo. Yes, sir. And Rajivji, if possible, please do share any video of Swami Hariyarji Maharaj if you have any.
Yeah, there are videos I'll
Yes, sir.
share them.
Ji, sure,
There
sir.
are a lot of
Would
talks
love
that he
to.
has given,
Would love
and
to hear them, sir. Yes, sir.
his talks are very simple, and
Ji,
so because his basic intention was to generate curiosity
ji,
and
sir.
get people towards the Gita. So it was always rendered in that fashion. Okay.
Right, sir. I look forward to seeing them, sir.
Yeah, I'll share them
Ji, sir.
surely.
Fine, sir. Yes, sir. So, yeah, let's continue. Dr. Niruddhan says further, he goes on. Listen. Your humorous verse on the burden of correspondence makes me feel a bit guilty. So, so in that also, he is now feeling guilty. Some people have that habit of being guilty all the time. Let's continue what Shreyavindu says. He says, I don't mind your correspondence. It is relief. It is a relief. But when people write 4 letters a day in small hand, closely running to some 10 pages without a gap anywhere, and one gets 20 letters in the afternoon and 40 at night. Of course, not at all like that, but still, it becomes a little too. So this is Sri Aurobindo's, what we can say. He had to do a labor of God only to read all these letters. There's so many. And he says it's a relief. He enjoys it. He says, I don't mind it. But he said, look at that. How many? 4 letters a day in small hand. We are so lucky with technology. They had to write and they would write in some handwriting. And we have seen many times Dr. Nirodhan making fun of Sri Aurobindo's handwriting also. So this was a very interesting Guru Shishya relationship where there was a lot of freedom. But more than that, this correspondence we are reading 90 years later also. For what reason it is? It is because of the content in it. Adhyatma made easy, Adhyatma made fun also. First thing, because Sri Aurobindo's yoga looks so far away, because it's so vast, so deep, it appears difficult. So correspondence with Sri Aurobindo becomes the primer for anybody to enter into the path of Sri Aurobindo. For me, Namilji had actually instructed me not to read any book of Sri Aurobindo. And when I tried to talk about consciousness, he said, quite, for you, your word is concentration. Learn that first. Then you talk about consciousness. This was in 2011. He had told me this will be the most marketed term. Now we can see consciousness for sale. Good in different packagings and different packages. So let's get back. But this was a brilliant book because this then helped me understand. I can say I don't say I understood Sri Aurobindo completely, but at least some things I'm able to understand after correspondence with Sri Aurobindo's by Dr. Nirodhan. Let's continue. Though I admit that you have reclaimed one non-believer by means of your correspondence, the thought of going away is becoming more and more remote. Perhaps this is no consolation for you. Consolation to you for what? For what do you care after all? Men may come and men may go. So he says, what you are having Vairagya Sthiti, you are going to not really care. And he goes on, men may come, men may go. Nirodhan says, but let us go on. Sri Aurobindo says, but let us go on forever. Yes, sir. This is a reference to, yes, I'll just complete this. This reference, men may come, men may go. Is anybody aware of this? But I go on forever. This was a quote attributed to anybody? It was about Julius Caesar. So I think in Shakespeare, men may come, men may go, but I go on forever. That's the character. So here Sri Aurobindo makes a pun. He says, but let us go on forever. Yes, sir. Rajiv ji is saying something. Yes, sir.
Let's see, the words of Nirodbaran here, talking
Hmm.
about his guru, they are actually reflecting a state of karma yoga of
Yeah,
the guru, actually. He is telling him by experience. He's saying that all
yeah.
the pains that you have taken, at least one person is not going to go back. But then what does this matter to you? Does it matter really? Men may come and go, but so it is actually
Radha kaise na
karma
jale.
yoga. This is
And
karma
this is
yoga
the
which
love.
he is following, and he is saluting that karma yoga. And he dismisses that with the statement, but let us go on forever. I mean, he is not even bothered about what he is saying.
Yeah.
Okay. So
And this,
wonderful.
yes, and this is beautiful in Dr. Nirodbaran's adoration also. It is much like that. Radha kaise na jale. No? It's like I am not
Correct.
getting the attention that I deserve. I need more. Yeah.
Correct.
So let's
No, this
continue.
is
Yes, sir.
wonderful.
Ji,
Yeah.
sir. Then this Sri Aurobindo has written correspondence suspended till after the 21st and resumable only on notice. But under cover of your medical cloak, you can carry on. Only only mum about it. Otherwise, people might get jealous and give you a headache. So even here, Sri Aurobindo doesn't say, I'll get a headache. It's
Correct.
up to you. At your own peril, you take the risk of
Yes.
revealing it to others.
Yes.
Otherwise,
Yes.
our correspondence can go on. But due to some circumstances, it has been closed for everybody. So, you see, this is beautiful, isn't it? He came back to timber work, this timber go down. He became the in charge of dispensary because of his karma yoga, he remains connected. This is the beautiful, as Rajiv ji also talked about. This is the beautiful way of remaining connected with the divine through karma. There's nothing greater than that. Krishna also says, dearest to him is who is doing that karma of taking the principles of the Gita. It does not mean somebody who is only repeating the Gita verses again and again to somebody else. That alone is not it. The one who is living the principles, the one who is following it, who is becoming the upholder, he becomes closest. We see here Dr. Nirodbaran came back against his initial mind because he realized that there's a need. He got an opening. He felt it seems Sri Aurobindo and mother want somebody at the dispensary. So he says, I will go to the dispensary. Sri Aurobindo says, oh, wow. Even he had very humorously said, I was rubbing my eyes when I heard that you want to go to the dispensary. And now, because he's there in the dispensary, his proximity is, even physical proximity is quite closer to Sri Aurobindo. And look at the other benefits. I think this also shows how karmas actually take us ahead, no?
Correct.
Means it is karma karanam uchyate. Yoga Rudha also in the Gita says the karma is how which is going to take a person ahead. For the yogi who has gone ahead, it is the karmas which have taken him so much ahead. And for the beginner who is walking on the path, he also will go ahead with karma. Indeed. So let's continue. Nirodban says, yesterday X and I had a discussion about the action of your force. Try as I would, I could not convince him of its reality. Let me put before you the discussion in dialogue form as it actually took place. This is going to be interesting. Let's see. X. I just can't believe that D was cured by Sri Aurobindo's force. Unless I hear to this effect from Sri Aurobindo himself. So the patient was cured. Dr. Nirodbaran was confident it is Sri Aurobindo's force. The doctor is confident, but X says no, unless Sri Aurobindo is himself going to tell that to me. And he goes on, myself. He replies, but the facts and figures are there. They show quite clearly that something utterly miraculous happened. An abdominal abscess being cured without any material intervention. symptoms subsiding, the temperature coming down from 103 degrees to 102, and then dropping to 99. As a doctor, I think I am in a position to judge these things. X. Maybe all this happened, but how do you know it was Sri Aurobindo's force that brought about this sudden change? So the skeptic X appears to be an eternal skeptic. The doctor has told these are the facts. I remember I had a discussion with a friend who was a close friend. Unfortunately, was a close friend, not anymore. But that friend was also a doctor, and we were discussing something about about miracles. And logically, I thought, let's convince the doctor logically with facts. So I tried to explain. See, these are all things that have happened. I don't see anything. This is a miracle. Now, I thought I had successfully given a very good argument, and I got a response. So, what is it? What is in it for me? I was like, face palm moment. What was all of this explanation for? So here, Dr. Nirudbaran has explained to X everything in detail. See, look at this abdominal abscess being cured. As a doctor, I find it unbelievable. It is a miracle. It does not happen just like that without intervention. But again, this X has question. How do you say it's Sri Aurobindo's intervention? How is it his force that brought about this change? X. Then Nirudbaran replies. He says, everybody knows here that Sri Aurobindo's force is constantly acting on us with a tremendous power. Almost all of us have experienced it one time or another. D was brought here under the mother's instruction, even though his condition was precarious, so that Sri Aurobindo could act upon it with his force. So, it seems quite obvious that he had been cured by this force, just as others have been. What other blessed force could have acted upon him? And if some force did act, why not the force under which we are living and which is all the time animating us? So here, this particular patient was serious, was brought in spite of that for a particular reason. The mother had requested it. This is what the doctor is telling. And this was what where Sri Aurobindo also has been. If you see, Dr. Dhirodvaran has been corresponding, no, with Sri Aurobindo. He's been telling about patients, and he said, "I'll concentrate upon them." And this is actually possible. If you and your loved ones also want to experience this, you can sit in one part of the place and start thinking and consciously sending your force, and the other person will receive it there. That's the Chaitanya. That is the power of consciousness. That is how it goes. But here X is refusing, though he is also in the same ashram. He is refusing to believe. Again, showing how the rational mind sometimes becomes our biggest enemy. So he again counters it. He says, if that is so, what about the instances where the divine has failed? And why does it succeed in some cases and not in others? So this is an interesting question which is asked by X. Let's see what Sri Aurobindo replies. Sri Aurobindo replies, the mistake is to think that it must be either a miraculous force or else none. He says, there is no miraculous force and I do not deal in miracles. Means clearly Sri Aurobindo is saying, see, there is no miraculous force. I don't deal in miracles. The word divine is out of place. Where is it out of place? If you look at the sentence, it says, what about the instance where the divine force has failed? And why does it succeed? So he said the word divine here is out of place. If it is taken as an always omnipotently acting power, yogic force is then better. So he says, Sri Aurobindo says, say the yogic force failed. Don't call it the divine force because the divine is omnipotent. Yogic force is then better. It simply means a higher consciousness using its power, a spiritual and supra-physical force acting on the physical world directly. One has to train the instrument to be a channel of this force. It works also according to a certain law and under certain conditions. The divine does not work arbitrarily or as an Thaumaturge. I do not know this word. This is a new one for me. Phaumapurge. So there are conditions. There are conditions for that to work. For the divine does not work arbitrarily. Sri Aurobindo goes on. He says, he acts upon the worlds along the lines that have been fixed by nature and purpose of the world we live in, by an increasing action of the things that has to manifest, not by a sudden change or disregard of all the conditions of the work to be done. If it were not so, there would be no need of yoga or time or human action or instruments or of a master and disciples or a descent or anything else. It could simply be a matter of the Tathastu and nothing more. I think we all know that, isn't it? Tathastu is the Ashirvad directly of the divine. So if divine is powerful, divine can do everything. Why is all of this required? It would not be required if the divine was just arbitrary and working like that. It could simply be a matter of Tathastu and nothing more. But that would be irrational, if you like, and worse than irrational, childish. This does not mean that interventions, things apparently miraculous, do not happen. They do. But all cannot be like that. This is very interesting. Sri Aurobindo's first statement itself is sometimes people get disappointed. What is this? There is no miraculous force. And I don't deal in miracles. We say the Guru is all powerful and everything. And what is this? There is. Yes, Maji wants to say something, is it? Shardaji? No. All right. So this divine's miracles also are, what are they? They are not going against the natures of Prakriti. We have studied the Gita, isn't it? There are rules of Prakriti. There is Maya. There is so many aspects. When we understand it, we become part of it. We call it Leela. We enjoy what is apparently miraculous. But even that apparently miraculous thing has a functioning. It has a writ. It has a law which is being abided by that force. In the world, in our world, everything is governed by a law, isn't it? Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadhi. Birth, death, old age, disease. Everybody goes through that. There is growth. There is, from childhood we grow to different things. Our body goes through cycle. We go in the early morning in winter outside, we immediately catch a cold. What is all of this? These are all interactions according to the laws of material or Prakriti. So suddenly visualizing that from somewhere a force is going to come, that is quite childish. And he says, we do not deal in miracles at all, because those type of miracles, it's actually what mind always looks that way, isn't it? Suddenly, yesterday I got a chance to meet a sadhak. This person was talking about how different people in different yoga margas are there and walking in this way, that way. Suddenly somebody is having power, and I just asked him, are you talking about some anime which we were watching? Because it appeared like that. Somebody is sitting here, the force is happening, one more power is going this way. It is not like that. These powers are also working according to rules of Prakriti. That is the exact reason why I keep using this example. Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj and Aurangzeb. Their lifespans. One who was doing wrong things also got a chance to live longer. Though a lot of people, or I don't think it's anybody who will say he deserved to live longer with a logical, rational mind. And Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj, he was considered an avatar of Shiva himself. Ansh of Shiva is there, or Ma Bhavani's child who is going to liberate. Why did he have to leave early? Again, this is the law of Prakriti. So everything, the divine force works, but within the ambit of Prakriti. I think everybody must have learned calculus or something in in education, in school or colleges. We would have limits, isn't it? Integration limits, minus infinity to plus infinity. That is how we can work on it. Otherwise, No limits, no integration is possible. Well, if mathematics, there are limits where you're writing things with piece of paper, pen and paper. That also is having a limit. In life also, there are certain things. So even the divine has to abide by this rule, rule of Prakriti. The creator is following it for some conscious reasons. In the Bhagavad Gita, we talk about manifestation happening, or 13th Adhyaya, the entire Kshetra is defined. What is the Kshetra? Who is the Kshetragnya? What are the Vikara, or the deformations and distortions in the Kshetra? And also an interesting aspect in the Kshetra is something what is called Avyakta, unmanifest. It is for that unmanifest that all the sadhana is being done, that may that unmanifest manifest. May that descent take place. Otherwise, there is no need for any of all of this. Tathastu would come and enter it. Entirely everything would work like that. Again, let us look at two more questions, or maybe three questions. We'll complete this dialogue between X and Dr. Nirodhan, which he's trying to raise. Myself, I don't see how you can deny the reality of this force. He's talking about continuing his dialogue with this other sadhak named X. I don't see how you can deny the reality of this force. Were you able to write with such vigor before you came here? X immediately replies, yes, I could write a lot, so much so that people were astounded. Was that Sri Aurobindo's force? Immediately Sri Aurobindo replies, what is Sri Aurobindo's force? It is not a personal property of this body or mind. It is a higher force used by me or acting through me. Look at that, no? The Guru is not taking credit even for that. He says, if the force is acting through me also, I am not. Na ham karta, hari hi karta. Like that, how it is said. No, I am not the doer. Maybe if it is working through me, it may be acting through me. Or I maybe, if I am conscious, I will use it. If I have the weapon, I will use the weapon in my hand, isn't it? Whatever ability I have, I will use it to the best of my abilities. But that does not mean I'm taking it. This is not, we're not going to use this as a property of what is this Sri Aurobindo's force? Who knows, tomorrow people might trademark it also. That's what Sri Aurobindo is implying. You don't use that way. Then he goes on. And Tago, Lenin, who are giants, is your divine force working in them too? Sri Aurobindo replies, of course it is a divine force, for there is only one force acting in the world, but it acts according to the nature of the instrument. Yogic force is different from others because it's a special power of the spiritual consciousness. There is something about the yogic force which is different from what we call the vital or the rajasic forces of impulses that people have, no? Because it is having, I think in physics we would hear about force. 10 Newton force, 100 Newton, and there's a 10,000 Newton force. It's something like that. The yogic force is something a lot higher. Yes, Rajiv ji. Yes, sir.
Actually, this nature of the instrument, this particular thing is a very deep thing, actually, because a flute sounds so beautiful only because it is empty inside. There is nothing in it. So that is, I mean, whenever like, and this is the way Aurobindo as a master is replying. What is it? It is not my force. He is saying
Yes,
that it is not, and it operates through a instrument which is capable of handling it. So in order to
yes,
be in the Gita, we read about the state which is Gunatita state. So all
yes, sir.
forces, while they operate on mere mortals, there are some mortals who raise themselves above, and then they are able to manipulate the forces that are there. So
They
that
are
is,
not
they are
played.
not
No? They're not.
subject to the
Yes.
play. In fact, they
Yeah,
are
they
able
are
to
the
actually,
players.
Yes,
We
they
can
can
say
actually do. So he's
they
very
are like the
humbly saying
players.
it that it depends upon the instrument, and there are forces like that.
Yes,
He's
he's
saying it
aware.
so
He's
beautiful
conscious.
actually.
It's somebody who has experienced it who can talk about it. So,
No, exactly. I mean, sir, this is so nice. I mean, to read about.
Arjuna was told in the Gita, Nimitta Matra Bhava Savya Sachin, become the
Correct.
instrument. Problem is the Aadhar is not ready, so the divine is not able to work. And then people
Exactly.
think they're means like that. There's a kawali. तूने क्या
Mm.
बनाई, तूने क्या सजाई, सब किया है तो उसने, तूने बातें बनाई.
Correct. I mean,
Individual feels I am the doer.
the discussion between Nirodharan and I mean, I was
Yes,
very
sir.
keen on reading the answer to this particular question even before you said
Yes,
it,
sir.
because and that is exactly the way I had anticipated it would be. Like the question, like you have done it, and the answer could not mean yes, I have done it. You can never expect that kind of
Yes,
an answer. It has
yes,
been so well said by Aurobindo. Wonderful.
yes.
Very good.
Ji,
Very.
sir.
Please go
Ji,
ahead.
sir. So then Nirbhan had replied, it seems to X. He said, it may not be Sri Aurobindo's first, but how can I exclude the possibility of the divine force behind? Because one is an atheist, it doesn't mean the divine is undivine against him. Just because
Ah,
you don't
so
believe.
nice.
Oh,
Ah,
that's
correct.
beautiful. You did not, because some cults, they say you must say this name of a god, otherwise he will get angry and he will punish you and he'll be undivine for you. I think that is not divine is divine. Mata is Mata. Pita is Pita, isn't it? That Matru Tattva is all pervading. She'll not say, ah, this is like this. Today, child is not listening to me, so I will not be Mata today. It cannot be like that. So there's beautiful logic here. Because one is an atheist, it doesn't mean the divine is undivine against him. Because many people ask this question, so he is an atheist, still he is successful. He is an atheist, so he still is getting as if he is an atheist, so he should be punished.
Correct.
That's
न
the
कर्तुत्वं
rational.
न कर्माणि लोकस्य सुहृति प्रभु न
Yes,
कर्मफल
sir.
संयोगम स्वभावस्तु वर्तते. So he does not take any responsibility for whatever is happening. Neither does he
Yes,
give the fruits thereof. So he's in that
yes, sir.
state.
Yes, sir. So we continue.
Yes, yes.
Yes, sir. There was an obvious intervention. In case Sherwin is replying, just one moment. I'm audible, isn't it?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, all right. There was an obvious intervention. In case he speaks of, but the agent or process should only be determined if one knew all the circumstances. Such interventions are frequent. Example, my uncle's daughter was at her last gasp. The doctors had gone. The doctors had gone away, telling him there was no more to be done. He simply sat down to pray. As soon as he had finished, the death symptoms were suspended. The girl recovered without further treatment. It was a case of typhoid fever. Several cases of that kind have come within my personal observation. So this is what Shavendra is saying, that there are forces which are beyond all circumstances. You'll have to understand it. And he gives a beautiful example. X immediately means Nirban continues the conversation, the thread. He says, "Oh, if you say that everything is being done at the divine impulsion, I have nothing to say. But you can't say for that matter that I am working because Sri Aurobindo is constantly at my back." In brackets, he writes, he admitted this before. I don't know whether for the sake of argument, but he recedes now. What can I say against it? This aspect of what do you think? Why do you think this X is responding this way? Anybody? He said first it was Sri Aurobindo who was responsible for him, and then suddenly he says it's not. Just to look at human nature. Anybody? Why has he suddenly stopped attributing? Yes, anybody? Yes, anyone? Rajiv ji, Chitra ji, or Juhi ji, or Sharda ji? If you have come across, because sometimes we feel people are strong believers and suddenly we feel, what happened to that belief? Why are they not anymore attributing it to the same God that they loved, or the same Aradhya, or the same Guru? And the Guru is not effective. Or one person I remember telling me it's time to change the Guru. As if you can go to a mall and you can select clothes, something like that. Anybody? Why do you think this happens?
Because they had some other kind of expectations, and it's not the kind what they wanted to get out of it.
Yeah, so they did not. So one way, somewhere their expectations have not been fulfilled. That is one reason. Another, something that happening by their own individual will, which they are feeling is sufficient enough, or which is they have now, what we can say, we'll not call it confidence. We may call it overconfidence about oneself. All of these factors. So here, this person says, I was writing poetry all the time. It was not no influence. Maybe it is like he had only said it. He's now trying to brush it away. Maybe it was in a state of emotions. I think that time there were no recording of devices, no, or chats which can be shared as screenshots. Nowadays, everybody can do that. But even if that would have been done, he would have said, no, I told it in a state of emotion. It was not really what I meant. Because this is what happens when Ankar enters inside. Ankar also enters in because of so many such factors. It's simple. It is simple. Namni says Shraddha is having less. Shraddha is not there. We can't say somebody has partial Shraddha and somebody has 20%, like battery charging increase, 40% Shraddha, 60%. Shraddha is either there or Shraddha is not there. This person seems to have lost the Shraddha, or maybe he never had it in the first place. It was just something else, intellectual level he was working. So let us see what Sri Aurobindo replies. So it is very interesting. A Shishya is talking about another Shishya who is expressing disbelief about the Guru. I mean, just think about it. Any Guru would have got annoyed. It's like, hey, don't engage in this discussion. You will also lose your Shraddha. I will lose my number of followers. I don't know. It's not like that. Real Guru never thinks or worries about it. Damleji would always say, instead of being a guru of four fools, I would like to be a shishya of one great guru. That's a very beautiful dialogue. He's always wanting to learn and grow, and the guru is never bothering about who is following or who is not. Let's see what Sri Aurobindo replies. He says, I am not very particular about that. It is a personal question and depends on X's feeling. I certainly put force on him for the development and success of his poetry. About the rest, I don't want to say anything. I have marginalized on the force. To write more completely would need more time than I have tonight. Of course, it depended on a few cases of illnesses. It would be a thing of no certitude or importance. If the force were a mere freak or miracle, it would be equally trivial and unimportant, even if well attested. It is only for the importance. It's only of importance if it is part of the consciousness and the life, used at all times, not only for illness, but for whatever one has to do. It manifests in various ways as a strength of the consciousness, evenly supporting the life and action, as a power put forth for this or that object of the outward life, as a special force from above drawn down to raise and increase the scope of consciousness and its height and transform it not by a miraculous, but by a serious, steady, organized action following certain definite lines. Its effectiveness as well as its action is determined first by its own height and intensity, or that of the plane from which it comes. It may be from any plane, ranging from the higher mind upward to the overmind, partly by the condition of the objects or the field in which it acts, partly by the movement which it has to effect, general or particular. It is neither a magician's wand nor a child's bauble, but something one has to observe, understand, develop, master before one can use it all right, or else, for few can use it except in a limited manner, be its instrument. This is only a preface. So Sri Aurobindo has actually described this aspect consciously, how this force is being used. This is actually an occult phenomena being described, or an esoteric phenomena, if we do not want to use the name term occult as well. Very few, who are these very few who know it? Who have experienced it, who have understood how to consciously use the force. And it is not a freak incident or it is a freak miracle that Sri Aurobindo is describing. He says it manifests in various ways. Like a special force which is drawn from above, drawn down to raise and increase the consciousness and its height. Its transformation also is not miraculous. It's a steady, organized one. Effectiveness is also determined by its own height and intensity from which plane it has come. Whether it has come from the higher mind, whether it has come from the overmind. Now, this would you like to look at this? Anything? Is it clear, this part completely, or should we dwell on it a bit? Because after that we can conclude today's session. Anything you would like to dwell on? Because it's very nicely mentioned by Sri Aurobindo. Means the source also can be identified. It appears like that. Sri Aurobindo can identify the source from where it has come. The force has come from one mind, which is the higher mind, which is maybe the vital, higher vital, which has come from our mind also. He's actually describing different planes or realms of consciousness from which it acts. Later on, if you see, Sri Aurobindo would identify also from the poetry of the sadhak. Even our Dr. Nirodhan is soon going to start writing poetry. In that poetry also, he would say, this has come from a higher plane. This has not come from a higher plane. This is the intervention. Some of the poems which Nirodhan felt are very good are, he says, they may not be, because they are from a different plane, and Sri Aurobindo is able to identify through the words. So this is something, it's a conscious action. It happens according to a way. Yes, Rajesh wants to add something, sir? Yes, please, sir.
Actually, see, what I wanted to say is I just want to share my thought and then you can correct
Yes, sir.
me and correct my understanding on this.
No, sir. Please, sir.
What I'm thinking is basically between I mean for a sadhak and let us say Aurobindo, the level of consciousness which he had actually raised himself to in a very methodical manner.
Yeah.
And what he's saying is that these forces are not miraculous in any nature. I mean, you have to, it's a method which has to be applied by raising your consciousness to a particular level, and only then these things can happen. It does not happen all of a sudden or arbitrarily in some cases and not in some cases. It is to be done by raising yourself to that level, which he has actually raised, and he is able to see the different levels of consciousness where you have come, whether it is coming from which level. Is it something else which is above that? So I think it is the highest state which I'm not the, I mean, I don't know whether it should be the highest state, but really a very, very high state which he has reached, which is enabling him say all these particular things that he is saying here as a reply to that. I mean, is that right?
Yes, sir. Absolutely,
Huh?
sir. And one thing is,
Uh,
one of the reasons why he is using the force also on his sadhaks. He rose. He could
hmm,
rise. He could rise to that consciousness, but everybody could not rise. So what is he trying to do? Is he is trying to bring about what we call descent from that higher consciousness. He is trying to make that come in. It's like catch the stars and give them, share them with everybody, something like that.
that is the Lok Sangraha, which he is
Yes,
very
yes,
actively
yes.
engaging himself
Yes,
in
yes.
and taking people up and
And
explaining them, because these
the
things which seem like
sacrifices.
miracles,
Yes, sir.
he is
Yes, sir.
saying
The
that it is not
sacrifices
miracle.
that what Sri Aurobindo has taken, they are not visible or not known to everybody, but innumerable. And that is how Guru's sacrifices are. They are not to be termed or quantified anyway, but they are there. They are there. And so there's a ascent, there's also a descent of consciousness. This it is said in Sri Aurobindo's yoga that Adhar should, or the base, no, which receives
Hmm.
the consciousness, that has to become strong. So the Shishya must work on making the Adhar strong. Like I think
Right.
you are a mechanical engineer, sir, so you must be
Yes.
understanding about the material
Yeah,
science,
structural
where
stability.
structural
By
stability. Gee, gee.
the base has
So
to be really very strong in order to be
yeah, we'll have to
absorbing it.
open the design data book and ready a
Correct.
strong material to receive the force. So
Correct.
this is there, and this is there in our Sanatan Dharma also. Sri Aurobindo is not saying I'm telling something radically new, or it's like
Hmm.
I have. He's never tried to copyright his technique. He's not said this is a trademark technique which I alone have given. He says many times in Sri Aurobindo's discussion, he says I'm teaching nothing new. But the way he is bringing it is actually simplifying what is already there, which has not been understood. That is why the secret of Veda has to be revealed. This is how it has
Correct.
to be known to everybody. If you see
Yes.
that there are stages like Kavi, Manishi, Paribhu, Swayambhu in the
Yes.
Upanishad. These are all stages of consciousness. They are said to be
Correct.
one left or the other. Now, what are they? I think if we look at stages of consciousness in us also, we look at our own consciousness and we can see like there is something called in Marathi, we use the word Simhavalokan,
Yes.
or a lion when he walks in the jungle after taking 5, 6 steps. The lion or the lioness, she just turns back and says, "Ah, right, I have now come this far. Okay, maybe much more to go ahead, but these are the steps I have taken." Something like that. If we were to do a Simhavalokan, maybe there was a time in our life we could not be ready to have discussions what we are having right now also, isn't it? I
Correct.
can say with 100% guarantee I would not be fit to sit inside of a Gita class, given my state of consciousness that was before. But
Correct.
with Guru Krupa, somewhere I was able to study the Gita a little better, slowly, slowly. So the steps happen, raising of consciousness happens, we get anubhav and we go ahead. Different
Correct.
anubhavs people get clairvoyance, people get intuition. Suddenly, people get what we can say is even vacha siddhi. Some people say
Yes.
something that happens. So there are n
Correct.
number of what we can say outer lakshanas of walking ahead on the path. But
Correct.
it is having a systemic structure. It is not what we call just a fluke or suddenly, because a lot of people feel that, and in that feeling they start going into a very different path, and in the
Yeah.
emotional manner they hurt themselves. They say andaha tamaha pravishyanti atmano jana.
Correct. Very
That
well
is
said.
the Isha
Yes.
Upanishadic
Yes.
verse which
Yes.
talks about the darkness. They're hurting themselves by going further into darkness. Go into Rigveda, you will find what darkness, what light. Darkness also, there is Sarma Devi, she is there, she is the hound of the heavens. Like there is Nisha, or we can say there is this, she's also a Devi only. Like Usha is there, there is also a Nisha.
Correct.
And the dog, this goddess, this Sarama Devi, she is the hound of the heavens, and her job is what? She goes into the darkest caves, and with her mouth, which is ferocious, she bites and brings out light inside of caves. What is the meaning of it? It's not a physical cave or a special creature. Somebody might today describe it using AI, make a artificial drawing or something of it. But it is talking about the cave of inconscience, our own inner darkness. From there also light can manifest, but for that, there are rules. Means each Kriya Yoga has set of rules.
Correct.
Means
Even the Kenopanishad,
yes, sir. Even what, sir?
even in the Kenopanishad, I
Ji,
mean, you
sir.
have the gods talking and the gods
Yeah.
saying everything. I mean, at their level of spiritual evolvement and the powers that have been bestowed on each one of them.
Ji, sir.
Okay, the moment they start saying that, yes, this is me
Hmm.
who is doing it. So
Yes.
it
Yes,
is
yes,
finally
yes.
shown who does it actually. So
Yes,
that
yes.
I is something which has to be avoided, and that is what
Yeah. So,
Aurobindo is
yes,
also doing here in all his conversations.
absolutely. So this
I think,
force is there. I think what we want to, if we want to draw an inference, we are going to conclude today. The divine force is there. Maybe X may not believe. X has the right not to believe, isn't it? But
yes,
Dr. Nirodharan should not get disturbed or allow the doubts of X to enter inside of his head.
correct,
X has the right, just as Hiranyakashipu had the right to deny the
correct,
existence of the divine until the time comes. The skeptic also will fall on the knees. But it's not the job of somebody ki, this person is not having faith in divine, so he should have undivine punishment. That is not our job to start praying for punishment. That will not work also is one thing, but that will really spoil our heads only. May
correct.
these non-believers suffer. You are going to reduce your own consciousness, your own ability to grow. So there's something interesting. We can understand the force is there. If the force is there, and the force is ever available, I'll just ask one question. What is it? What should be our prerogative? Force is there for whom? For everybody. So what is that X factor which is missing, which our X, whom Dr. Nirodhan is saying, was not able to find out? Despite the force being there, something did not happen or something's missing. What is that? If we can look at it, we conclude
Aadhaar.
actually. Beautifully said, Joyji. Right, inspire, like on target, bullseye. The Aadhaar means we have to be available for that force to work. If we are not available, the force will not work through us. It will not be the failure of the force. Unfortunately, it will be our failure. Just had a discussion with somebody. If Arjuna did not listen to Krishna, what would happen in the Gita? It was a very straightforward question, trying to share that this is the failure of the divine. If his dependence on Arjuna is the failure of the divine. I don't think it will anyway matter because Krishna would have found a Arjuna or some other character. Suddenly, he would have done the same role. For Krishna, it is the what we can say, the divine does not need the instrument. There are so many instruments available for the divine to do the work. And the divine is such a great surgeon that even if surgeon's knife is taken away, he might find a toothpick and he might do the best operation with that. But if we want to become the instrument of the divine, we must make ourselves available. One of the ways is sadhana. And sadhana is what? It is a lifelong process. I have been doing sadhana for so many years. All right, certified by XYZ Sadhana Incorporation with gold medal certificate of sadhana. It doesn't make a difference. Dharma vruddheshu vaya na samikshate. Age is not a factor, years are not a factor, number of hours of dhyana not a factor, number of lakh japas I have done, so I should get 2 extra horns. No, they will not come. Instead, it will be the sincerity of our surrender, the control over our mind, what we can say, receptivity for the divine, rejecting the forces of the undivine or lower forces. Let us not suddenly imagine the divine with halo and a undivine force looking differently with the horns, and it is not there. It is the lower forces of doubt. We saw about ourselves creating sanskaras where we are reminding ourselves that we are not capable and then becoming incapable. because of our own auto suggestions. So these are all things we have to throw out. With divine, we are everything. With divine, we need not worry. There was a beautiful quote in my school on the always it was there above the board. It was, if God be for us, who can be against us? What a beautiful quote it is if we can realize it. There's nobody who's going to be against us when we are connected with the divine. But our ability to be receptive is hampered by our thoughts, rational and limitations. So those have to be thrown away. I think with this we are ready to complete and conclude. If anybody can summarize something. Generally, I generally mean Chitraji, she's always giving a summary, but if Joyji wants to say something, or Rajivji or Shardaji, Maji wants to say, you can also summarize. But let us summarize and we conclude with the Shanti Mantra after that. Hari Om.
Uh,
Yeah.
I would just like to mention some random points because
Why
I
not?
don't
Why
have
not?
like that.
No, no, it's
So
not random also.
we
Just like
understood
Divine's
that
working is not random. Joyji, you will not be speaking randomly. It will have a science. I'm sure of it. Please tell me.
interesting. Anyway, so like we need to be the madhyam of the higher force. And if we
Yeah.
are not able to become madhyam, it's our fault technically. It's not divine's fault because divine has 100 instruments on his or her uh
Side.
yeah
Yeah, we do
side.
not know it is
But
he
we
or
need
she
like
or
it's
what gender to assign. Nowadays, everybody is very picky about their genders, at least in West, not yet in India. So let us call divine only. He, she, it,
yeah,
they,
so
whatever.
on divine side. And
Yeah,
actually divine doesn't need us. We need divine.
yeah.
And that's why we better be properly surrendered to the divine.
Yes,
And as
yes.
we saw that surrendering is a whole life process, it's sadhana. So it's not only life's process, I would say. It's a continuous process which happened from one janma to another. So it will
Oh,
just keep on
beautifully
happening. We
pointed.
have to get better
Yes,
on it.
yes. It's a conscious flow. We do not know. We do not know our it's a beautiful aspect, yes, because it's unknown. Sometimes we fear the unknown. What's going to happen in my life? This is the biggest worry everybody has. If you ask them to go, what will happen after 10 years? I'm worrying because of the things that are going on. Actually speaking, that person does not know what's going to happen after 10 minutes. But attachment is for what is going to happen after that. In that, you miss out life. All right. If Krishna were to tell me, or if Krishna were to not tell me and decide that I have 10 minutes to live, how would I want them to go now? I would have to, if I'm ideal follower of Krishna, I will have to enjoy all those 10 minutes that he has given to me and do what he wants for the 10 minutes that are in my hand, because that would be the right way. So, irrespective of anything else, I think holding on to the moment, living it fully in surrender to the divine, with the divine, that would be the ideal. Yes, Johiji, that was rightly said. Anything else you would like to add? And it was not random at all.
No, I think that's all I
All
remember.
right,
We also
fine.
saw the case of exes not having complete faith. So like having less
Yeah, he's
uh,
not having Shraddha at all.
Shraddha.
If we, because many times when we go into this, my own personal experience, I understood very recently that it is a misplaced compassion that I was having, which was I was thinking, हाँ इसके पास थोड़ी श्रद्धा है, तो थोड़ी श्रद्धा है और थोड़ी नहीं, तो I got a clear answer. It is either Shraddha is there or it's not there. It's a binary. It's so simple
Oh,
as that. So here, unfortunately, it appears Shraddha is not there in X. That's why he can talk such obnoxious statements, isn't it? He got the
but I
grace
have
of the
another
divine.
question to this. I'm sorry, I'm just missing out
Yes.
stuff. So if
No, okay.
the Shraddha is 0 or 1, like binary, it's not a gray area as
No, it is for
such.
our perception, not for anybody else. For ourselves, we have to understand, because if we have doubts and we are fear, we are somewhere, we must understand it if lack of Shraddha is causing it.
Okay, so lack of Shraddha is technically 0, and when Shraddha is to the fullest, it's 1.
Yeah. It's a simple for somebody like me. I don't operate beyond. I'm still in binary only, 0 and 1 bits and bytes, not yet in the higher decimal system, hexadecimal or any other octal or whatever other systems. So if you look at it in a way, it becomes very clear. You don't, at least for yourself, you can, because our job is never to comment or judge on another person's Shraddha. That's the biggest waste of life we can do. Waste our time in commenting on somebody else's Shraddha. It's just gossip. But when we look at ourselves, it's easy to have this binary. Acha, my Shraddha is not there. That's why I'm having fear. I'm thinking I am doing this. Otherwise, what happens? No, see, I was doing it, but maybe God wants me to do like this only, but I'm not able to do this in X, Y, Z. We do a lot of calculation and then we get trapped in our own Maya and then we cry, blaming the divine that you did this to me. You too, Brutus. And if God will say, it's not you too, Brutus, it is you only. So that is why that is my approach. Of course, it's not, it's just a thought, I can say. It can be varied. For me, it is easier to control my mind that way to get clarity. Otherwise, my one friend had told me, you will be, somebody will stab you on the back and you will feel bad for the person who is stabbing you on the back. Thinking of that person's perspective. That friend was right, actually, because that friend knew me well when I was in college. That's misplaced compassion. So that's all there is to it in that binary that I added, G. Yes. Anything else? I think, would you like to add some more, Chitraji, and then we conclude? Any points you wish to add or share?
Yeah, the one important thing that we saw was the aspiration part that worked on a patient where
Ah,
his fever came down for the first time. So that was one thing we saw, and the tears of bhakti of a sadhak, which was
they're
pure
not
and
childish. They're not childish at all. Hmm.
which is pure and genuine. And again, re-emphasizing that why he doesn't want to be given the status of a father. So we saw
Yeah.
some comments
Yeah.
around.
Best that relationship, don't give a name to it. Let it remain avyakta in the terms of naming it. But otherwise, prayer is beautiful. You let that relation become sweeter and let it become better with time. So, all right, with this, let us all, I think we should also pray that our relationship with our divine Krishna should always become better and better with time, and we can enjoy the Ananda and be part of the Leela. Let us conclude with a Shanti mantra. Hari Om. Sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramaya, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kasyit dukha bhag bhavet. Hari Om Tatsat. Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Namaskaram, Shubhratri, everyone. Ji, Hari Om.
Hari.
Hari Om. Hari Om. If there are no queries, we conclude the session. Yes.